Deep beneath the Kalahari sand, in the dark of a burrow no wider than a man's arm, something the size of a mouse is taking its first breath. It cannot see, it cannot walk, it cannot survive a single hour on its own. It weighs almost nothing, and its eyes are sealed shut against a world it has never met. In 14 months, this helpless scrap of life will stare down a cobra without blinking. This is the beginning of a honey badger, and the story of how the most fearless animal in Africa is made. It starts with a mother alone. Unlike so many animals of the savanna, the honey badger raises her young without a mate, without a pack, without help of any kind. After a pregnancy of roughly 7 to 10 weeks, she gives birth deep inside a burrow she has dug herself, and almost always to a single cub, just one. In this harsh country, she will pour everything she has into that one life, and she cannot afford to divide it. The cub is born blind and utterly helpless, a pink, near-hairless thing hidden in the earth. For the first weeks of its life, it does nothing but nurse and sleep in the dark, while its mother slips out to hunt and returns to warm it. The burrow is everything now, shelter from the brutal daytime heat, and a hiding place from the many things that would happily kill a newborn badger, a jackal, an eagle, a snake, even another honey badger. So the mother does something remarkable. She does not stay in one den. Every few days, she takes her cub gently in her jaws and carries it to a brand new burrow, sometimes far away, staying one step ahead of any predator that might have noticed the pattern of her comings and goings. Again and again, den after den, she keeps her single, precious offspring moving through the dark. It is exhausting, dangerous work, and it never truly stops. A honey badger mother may move her cub dozens of times before it is old enough to walk on its own, each journey a gamble, across open ground where an eagle's shadow or a jackal's nose could end everything in an instant. She carries no weapon in these moments but her own ferocity and the willingness to turn and fight anything, of any size, that comes too close to what she is carrying. Then, at around 3 to 5 weeks old, the change begins. The cub's eyes open onto the walls of the burrow, and across its bare skin, the first hint of the famous coat appears. The pale gray mantle spreading down its back, the dark underside beneath. Even now, blind days behind it, the little animal is starting to wear the colors of its legend. It is beginning to look like what it will become. By 8 to 12 weeks, the cub is ready for the thing that will define the rest of its life. For the first time, it follows its mother out of the burrow and into the open world. Everything here is new, and everything here is dangerous. The cub is small, clumsy, endlessly curious, and it copies its mother's every move. When she digs, it digs, claws far too big for its body scrabbling at the earth. When she flips a stone for scorpions, it noses in beside her. When she freezes, at a sound on the wind, it freezes too, learning without knowing it that survival is built from 1,000 tiny lessons. Because that is the secret the honey badger's reputation hides. That legendary fearlessness is not simply born into the cub, it is taught. For more than a year, the mother is a full-time teacher, and the savanna is the classroom. She shows her cub how to dig a rodent out of its tunnel, how to climb. Honey badgers are surprisingly good climbers, hauling themselves into trees after eggs and honey. How to read a snake's body, when to press and when to pull back. How to tear into a wild beehive and endure the stings for the larvae inside. And, perhaps most important of all, how to stand its ground. How to face something enormous, raise its hackles, and refuse to run. The cub grows astonishingly fast. By around 6 months old, it has already reached close to adult size. A sturdy, powerful little animal, no longer a helpless scrap of the burrow, and it is beginning to test the boundaries of its own courage. The early attempts are clumsy and sometimes comic. The young badger charges at things it cannot possibly beat. A startled antelope, a bird already lifting into the air, its own mother's tail. It gets stung raiding a hive before it has learned the technique. It corners its first small snake and hesitates, watching the way it moves, remembering how its mother did this. The snake lunges. The young badger jerks back, circles, and tries again. And this time, its jaws find their mark. It is a small victory and a formative one. Every mistake is a lesson written in scratches and near misses. But with each one, the caution of the cub burns away, and something harder takes its place. It is learning that when it commits, completely, most of the world steps back. This is also when it begins to understand the strange armor it was born wearing. That thick, loose skin across its neck and shoulders, the hide that a predator's teeth simply slide off. The skin so loose, the badger can twist around inside it and bite back. The claws that open the hard earth in seconds. The stink glands that turn a stomach. Piece by piece, the young honey badger discovers that its small body is built not to flee, but to make any attacker regret the attempt. And then, slowly, the lessons run out. Somewhere between 1 year and 14 months of age, the young badger and its mother begin to drift apart. The partnership that kept it alive from its very first blind breath quietly comes to an end. There is no dramatic farewell. One day, the young badger simply wanders further than usual and does not come back. It has become what its mother is, a solitary animal, ranging alone across an enormous territory, answerable to no one. Now the real test begins. Alone for the first time, the young honey badger must find its own ground, dig its own dens, win its own food from a land that gives nothing freely. It will fight rivals over territory and mates, savage brawls of claw and jaw against others of its own kind. It will face cobras and puff adders and survive bites that would kill an animal 10 times its size. It will stare down leopards, hyenas, even lions, and convince them, one tense encounter at a time, that it is simply not worth the risk. It is a hard life, and often a short one. In the wild, most honey badgers live somewhere between 7 and 12 years, and the land spares nothing. Drought, injury, the old and the weak taken by the very predators that avoid the strong. And beyond all of that waits the one enemy its courage cannot outmatch, the traps, poisons, and shrinking wild places of a world increasingly shaped by people. But watch the young badger now, standing alone on its own territory at last, hackles raised at a shape moving in the grass. It does not run. It never learned how. 14 months ago, it was a blind pink scrap of life the size of a mouse, carried through the dark in its mother's jaws. Today, it is the most fearless animal in Africa, and everything larger than it has already learned to look away. That is how a honey badger is made, not in a single moment of courage, but in a long, patient apprenticeship of digging and climbing and failing and fighting, one hard lesson at a time, until fear itself has nowhere left to live. And somewhere out in the heat, a lone female is moving to a new den tonight, a single cub held gently in her jaws, and the whole impossible story is about to begin again.